Welcome to A Differentiated Life, Session 11. My name's Kathryn Kissel. I'm a counselling psychologist, and during this period when we're all confined to our homes, I'm posting regular virtual therapy sessions as my way of supporting the wider community. My clinical approach is all about enhancing our differentiation. So my videos think about a live challenge that we're facing and offer some practical tools to help you take a step towards a differentiated life. So this session is entitled Keep Calm and Breathe. During this period of lockdown, I have never been so grateful for taking a breath. The simple act that we normally take for granted thousands of times a day has become a warning sign for COVID-19, its intimidation tactic. The COVID-19 virus takes taking a breath out of our control. We can end up depending on machines to ensure we get the oxygen-infused breath that we need. But under lockdown, that's not the only way our breathing gets rattled. When we become anxious, our breathing pattern changes. And it becomes a vicious cycle because the more our breathing pattern changes, the more we feel anxious. So last session, this session, and the following session are all about preparation work, things that we can do to help us find a way to stop and calm ourselves when we're getting stressed out. And so today's session, the preparation is about how we can improve our breathing so our body can help us stay calm under pressure. I'm going to introduce you to a little bit of science and then 2 valuable exercises. Because you see, anxiety is a bodily experience. We feel tense. Our voice becomes slightly higher pitched and less expressive. We may feel butterflies in our stomachs and tightness in our arms. And our breathing pattern changes. When we feel anxious or threatened, our breathing becomes more shallow in the upper part of our chest, and we begin to gulp air or breathe quickly. This overbreathing or hyperventilation is what it's called. So now, if we're in a life or death situation, a fight or flight time, the typical caveman scenario of a wild beast attacking you, or perhaps the modern day version, we've been sorting out Lego in our house recently, so of a car veering out of control towards you. When those situations happen, overbreathing is awesome. It opens wide the small airways in the lungs, and it sends in extra oxygen to the brain, and it increases our alertness. It acts together with the rest of the sympathetic nervous system to take a surge of adrenaline that's released around your body. It increases your heart rate, it pushes blood out to your muscles for action, and it sharpens our senses. This near instantaneous response primes our body for action. It enables us to grab our spouse and pull them out of the way before the car smashes into the wall where they were standing. Well, that's what happened a few years ago to us, and my husband was always very grateful that he saved me rather than just himself. The event was short and sharp, and it was over before we realised it had even begun. Our body's response dropped back to normal. The parasympathetic nervous system put a brake on the stress response, and we calmed down. But when we're under chronic stress, when the pressure we're under goes on for a long time, like the kind of stress that we're experiencing now during lockdown, then overbreathing isn't helpful. This rapid and shallow breathing actually reinforces the hyperarousal of the sympathetic nervous system. It makes you more anxious. So overbreathing is not only a sign of anxiety, it can also create anxiety. So I want to introduce you to a couple of simple exercises to reduce that overbreathing. One of them is called relaxed breathing. So it's about developing good patterns of how to breathe. The second is about exhaling more slowly. It's a route to calm you down when you're overbreathing. So relaxed breathing is a skill that can reduce the risk of your hyperventilating. It can actually increase the threshold for panic attacks and promote general relaxation. And the aim is that you slow your breathing down, you breathe more deeply, and you use your abdominal muscles. It's best learnt when you're feeling relaxed, particularly if you incorporate it maybe with some meditation. And if you do yoga, you're probably already very familiar with the importance of breath, and you may well be very far ahead of me in these exercises. So I'm going to walk you through it now, but don't worry if you can't remember, because I've created a resource that you can refer to. So make sure you're sitting or you're lying comfortably. Close your eyes and breathe through your nose rather than your mouth. Make sure your breaths, particularly your out breath, are smooth, steady, and continuous rather than jerky. Gently and slowly breathe in for a regular pattern that suits you. So you might inhale for 4, pause for a moment, and then breathe out for 4. Just breathe in a normal amount of air through your nose. And your aim is that you fill only your lower lungs. And then you breathe out easily. And you continue this slow, gentle breathing with a relaxed attitude. And you concentrate on filling only your lower lungs. And just like any skill, this requires practice. And the general recommendation is you might practice for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And you do it at least once a day, maybe twice. And the idea is the more you practice it, the easier it is then to draw on it automatically under pressure. Now, if I'm honest, I actually find breathing from my diaphragm really quite hard. So to help you get the feeling of what it is like, I'm going to use my little Lego man from my car. And you might find it easier to lie down. Here he is, lie down. And then get a book and place it on your stomach. And as you breathe, you know it's going into the diaphragm because the book will rise up slightly with each breath. So relaxed breathing sets the scene for keeping your body soft under pressure. But there are times when you find that you're already overbreathing. The body has already become caveman-like. And one really quick and straightforward response is to exhale for longer than you inhale. So to breathe out for longer than you breathe in. Now this helps because of something called the myelinated vagus. This is a nerve that connects to our heart and our lungs, and it acts a bit like a pacemaker of the heart. And the myelinated vagus is more active when we're breathing out, therefore extending our breaths calm us down. So if you notice you're breathing fast, just feel your breath and just allow a full exhalation, maybe even with a little sound like a maybe not if you're in a public space. If you're speaking, perhaps maybe you feel anxious when you're public speaking, like most of us do, then a really simple thing to do is just to extend the duration of your phrase by adding a word before you take your next breath. So just adding a word, adding 2 before you take another breath increases that exhalation and will calm you down. Sometimes, when we're under a great deal of stress, it's too difficult to find the headspace to use any of those kind of techniques. Our thinking brain has gone completely offline and our emotion brain is in control. In the handout to this session, I've added a couple more approaches to using breathing as a means of calming anxiety that you can use when you feel like you're in that state. So I wish you all the best as you figure out how to breathe from your diaphragm, like my Lego man, and activate your myelinated vagus. So I'd love to hear how it goes. Do leave me a message, and if you're finding these videos helpful, please share them with your friends. See you next session.